So tell me a little bit about the first year you homeschooled. Do you feel like you went through any type of adjustment period, or your kids did, or did it just go well from the beginning?
Our our first year, we were lucky. I mean, I think, of course, you learn what works and doesn't work, but we kinda just went into it, I think because they were at home being schooled, like, before COVID, as part of their school. Um, but we set up a schoolroom. I have a whiteboard. I have desks. FYI, for all new homeschool moms out there, you do not need it. I very rarely use that anymore. We use mostly wherever we kind of land or the kitchen table. But we did that at the beginning. I'm very, type A and just really, thought we wanted it. And we did it, but we learned what worked and didn't work. And, one of, I think, the best lessons for me was I tried to make it as much as like a typical school. Again, like what you think or society kind of tells you that you need to do. And I don't think now, like looking back, if I could tell myself, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to do every little thing. You don't have to have a schedule. I mean, I that's one of the big questions, I guess, is what is your schedule when you do? You don't have to have the at 10 to 10:45, we're doing English. Because some days that doesn't work out, or you're rolling around long with pronouns and you're like, let's just do 3 lessons, because it's all heady. And you have to remember that, like, the lessons are set up for a school because there has to be time restraints, and that's what, teachers need. But when you're at home and able to be more fluid, you can move that around.
Mhm. Boy, that is such a benefit of homeschooling, and you're right, that first year when you're trying to get your feet on the ground, and I say this for all you new moms and dads out there, homeschooling moms and dads who may have just finished your first year or considering homeschooling for the first time. If you went to traditional school, that is your go-to setting because that's all you know. But as Elizabeth said, the more you homeschool, the more you can really lean in to the flexibility it allows, in terms of scheduling, in terms of just going with it. The 3 lessons on pronouns when everything is right, or your child is writing a paper or doing something creative in art. You don't have to stop because a bell rung.
You don't, and I mean, and if you were to look at my, 2nd grade handwriting teacher's edition, you would see highlights and marks up, and, now that I've gotten into it, I realize I didn't need to be that, structured with it, that we could learn. But that's what worked for us in the first year. And now we're a lot more fluid. And it's kind of like with anything you do. If you look back, for the very first time you did it, you're like, ooh, what kind of, you kind of like a new mom. If you looked at my diaper bag for my very first child, I felt like it was like this huge suitcase that I carried everything. My second child, if we just had a bottle of diapers walking out the door, that was good enough. It was fine.
Right, that's right. So you talked a little bit about societal expectations and maybe family expectations or neighbor expectations. How do you feel that has been?
So I find this very interesting, because my husband and I talk about this a lot, that everybody thinks that you should do what's like expected. And everybody, you put them in public school. This is what they do. They play sports. They do this. They do that. As much as I watch social media, one person puts them in a summer camp that everybody does because that's what they think they have to do. It's kind of keeping up with the Joneses in a way. And when we pulled ours out of public school, that was a big shock. Not necessarily to our family, some family, but mostly to like our neighbors and like friends, because that's just not what you did. And then I found this world of, like I said, Christian education and private school. And it just really opened in this whole community. And now, being homeschooled, there's this amazing community. There's so many of us, and there's so many. And it used to be, I will laugh, like going to the mailbox. Why did you pull them out? Why are you paying for school? This and that. And now my questions 5, 6 years later is, "Hey, do you have room for one more to come homeschool? I think my child would benefit." That's always the joke, but it is. I get a lot of, How did you start? How do you feel comfortable?" You will still get the questions. I think some of those questions are when people just hear the word homeschool, they have to bring up certain things. They just can't help themselves. How are they socialized? How are you do? One of the ones that used to bother me, and it really got to me even after doing this and knowing I wanted to do it and continue doing it, was how are you going to homeschool in high school? It was actually at an appointment, and I was thinking, and it really got to me. And at the end of the day, Zan, when I really sit down and think about it, I graduated high school. Actually, I did
Right. You did
quite
well in house high school and
right.
college. That's
I
right.
I have a graduate degree. I think I could probably teach high school. If nothing else, I could probably do the work again and get through it. Okay, I think I can do this and I think it just makes us scary. And I think sometimes the unknown is scary. And I still, worry about things with my kids. Would I worry if they were in a traditional school? Yeah, the same worries. So I think that's just part of being a parent.